No one's watching, but that's fine. Hello, everyone. I am Still Guns, the proprietor, the host of this channel. It's not my real name, of course, but who gives a damn? I look a bit of a mess, and I feel like a mess. And my room is a mess. And the main subject today is my room. This is something that I was hoping would not happen for years. And maybe it won't yet. Things could still change. But the way things are going at the minute, by this point next year, I will be living in a different house. And I have to voice my frustrations in ways that are more than just crying my eyes out. And believe me, I'm finding it difficult to stay composed right now. For those of you who don't know, I have Asperger's syndrome, and that has made it difficult for me to adapt to multiple situations. People may think that I'm being ridiculous on some things, like, say, the Chevrolet Corvette C8. People will think that, that's so stupid, it exists, why do you deny that it exists, or whatever. But, yeah, that's an element of my Asperger's. I don't like it, therefore I refuse to acknowledge it, essentially. Like, there's even a set of traffic lights that got built just down the road from where I live, and I don't use them because I saw them as unnecessary. I literally walk in the road to avoid using them. That's... Among other things, it's made social abilities difficult. And often that's why I don't have scripts or commentary in my videos, because I don't know how to do them a lot. It's weird, because I can go on for hours and hours, well, hours, whatever, just going on about a video that I want to make, imagining it in my head, creating the commentary for it spontaneously, and yet the moment I turn on my microphone, it just vanishes. And change is also a very difficult thing to accept. I need a status quo. And I guess maybe that's another reason why I have not been particularly successful in anything. I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses or whatever. I'm just trying to stick with the matter at hand, and that is the current situation. I moved into this house in April of 2018, and I've been happy here for the most part. I've got used to living here. And for 6 years, 6.5 years, no one had a problem with it. Everyone was fine. Earlier this year, my country, the United Kingdom, had a general election where we ousted the Conservative government and replaced them with Labour. And I want to believe, I really hope that I made the right decision in voting for them. But shit like this has made me doubt it a little bit. Because, yeah, the Conservatives, I hated them. They were a bunch of brats. But Labour, they've not been exactly popular for a while either. And it's this. I'm gonna admit this. I'm low income. I don't make a lot of money. And I don't help that myself either. Like, I have a job. I finally got off my arse and got myself a job last year. It doesn't pay particularly well. I don't have a huge amount of hours. But it's a job. And I think I can be proud of myself for that. That after that 10 years after I left school, I finally managed to get myself a job. And it's so I just noticed this person, F1 guy. Hello. Yeah, this isn't pre-recorded or anything. This is very much live. It's very difficult situation. Where was I? Yeah, I've been living in this house 6.5 years. It will be 7 years next April, and hopefully, maybe things will change, and things might get better. Maybe things will be backtracked, and this is another element of my Asperger's. I sort of skip ahead sometimes. Essentially, because of the nature of my house, I don't live here. Well, yes, I do live here, actually. I rent. I rent a room in this house. And I have been since April 2018. No one had an issue until Labour came into power. And for whatever reason, they've decided that this house suddenly isn't good enough to have 3 different tenants living in it. Because that's the situation. There are 3 tenants living in this house, along with the landlord, essentially, even though he barely spends any time here. He lives elsewhere, essentially. This isn't really his main house anymore. And the ridiculous thing is, well, if I was my landlord's family, it wouldn't matter. But because I'm not, because I'm a an individual renter, suddenly that means this house has been determined that it's no longer good enough for me. It's not efficient enough. It's fire hazardous because this is a British terraced house. These are quite small houses. And we've got the stairs, and the landing at the stairs is quite small. Like, at the top of the stairs, immediately on your left, is my housemate's room. And then you do a 180-degree turn, and you've got this pretty narrow walkway between the banisters of the stairs and the wall. That is my room. The wall literally right there. And I don't know how thin or thick that wall is. But based on the floor plan of this house, the government doesn't like how narrow that walkway is because of fire safety or whatever. So my landlord would either have to make that wall smaller by knocking it down and making my room smaller. So you see that broken old TV? Yeah, the wall would probably be right about there, potentially. That and my room isn't particularly big in the first place. So if he did that, if he knocked down the wall and made my room smaller, I'd have to get rid of my desk. I'd probably have to get rid of my wardrobe. It would be an unbelievably cramped situation that would be uncomfortable, and the room would lose its usefulness. I'd probably move out anyway. But if I was my landlord's family member, it's fine. Apparently, it doesn't matter if I'm a family member. I can burn to death for all, for all they care, as long as I'm family and not a completely separate person. He can't have 3 individual tenants, and the ridiculous thing is, if if my housemate, or if both of my housemates had multiple people living in their own tenancies, like if that was a family of 2 or 3, and if that was a family of 2 or 3, that would also be fine, as because it's multiple occupancies. So therefore, it doesn't matter if there's 4 people in that room and 4 people in the other room downstairs. As long as it's 2 different tenancies, it's fine. It's only me in this part of the house. Like, the 3rd tenancy, me, in this exact part of the house. This is the problem. You can have 8 people in 2 different rooms, but they're fine because they're 2 different tenancies, 2 different occupancies. But me, little old me, single old me in this one fairly small room, I'm the problem. I'm the issue. This This it's ridiculous. Because the walkway is narrow. Because of that. Like, what the hell do they think? Do they think there's 10,000 people here who are going to get crammed into that tiny walkway because, there's a fire and he might not be able to escape quickly? Like, what the fuck are they thinking? All this because this house was built fuck when I know ages ago, possibly older than me. All this over a walkway that was built just quite narrow, and apparently that's no longer good enough. And my landlord, this isn't his fault. We cannot blame him at all for this. Like, he's been pushed into this situation as much as I have. He's not been a bad landlord to me. And sure, I'll admit, I've been scared of him sometimes, but that's not his fault. That's because I've got issues with authority figures, and the way that sounds is that so? No, that sounds like, I've been a delinquent and I hate the authorities, or whatever. But no, that's not how it is. I did not have a good childhood. My stepfather was a horrible man, so yeah, I grew to resent an authority figure in that way, So whenever he comes in, I feel like he's gonna be my stepfather. But that's by the by. He's not my stepfather. He's a good man, and he's as hard done by this as I am. He might have to go back to work, or at least go work more, so to speak. I mean, who likes working, right? Unless it's your dream job, in which case, sure, fine. Have a great time if it's a dream job. I'm not in my dream job. I'm doing my job because it helps pay the bills. I'm sure he's doing his job because it pays the bills. So he this isn't on him at all. And credit to him. He's gonna do what he can. For all we know, in a few months, Labour will realise that this new rule of theirs is done. Because it's not just this house. It's houses across the country. I will not be the only person who's going through this right now. There are gonna be others. And this could cause a crisis across the country. He's going to do everything he can, and there are some things that I can't say that he's going to help me with. I literally cannot say. Because that's just how sensitive it is. But yeah, I mean, with any luck, if we're gonna be optimistic, they will reverse this ridiculous ruling, and I will be able to keep living here. But we know how governments are. They probably won't. They'll probably think it's the greatest idea since sliced bread, and yeah. Eventually, I will be in a different house. And that's, at the minute, is the way it's gonna be. And I didn't do particularly well the last time I had to move house. That felt like it came out of nowhere the last time. And I don't do well with this. I always like to imagine myself as someone big and strong and powerful. Oh, I could take over the world and lead the world into an era of peace and justice. But I'm the kind of person who would stage fright. I get stage fright turning on my own bloody microphone. I have ideas of what I want to say on my videos, and then I just blank. I make mistakes. If anyone was to try and fight me, I'd cower away, because I can't defend myself. I'm a weakling. I'm admitting that, because what else do you want me to say? Pretend that I'm a big and strong macho man? Not everyone is like that. I feel like I'm just venting and ranting more now. This is this couldn't have come at a worse time, and it reminds me of something I read on Reddit a while back. The boomers had their childhoods stolen from them. And now those same boomers are making it so that millennials, like me, are having their adulthoods stolen from them. I had my childhood, and it wasn't particularly great. I mean, I, I mean, I had it better than others, sure, but I had my stepfather, who was a horrible man, still is a horrible man. I had my mum and my actual dad living separately in different parts of the country, and because of how my mum's relationship with my stepdad was, I didn't feel comfortable staying with her either. So I came and moved down to my dad's, to where my dad lives. And I've always liked being close to him. And now I might have to move further away, as far as Littlehampton, potentially, which that's not exactly close to where my dad is. I mean, sure, it's still with a bus or train ride away, but I don't have a car. I don't have a driving license. I failed my driving license, or rather, I never really got the chance to use it, to get one. I never got. Regardless, I don't have a car, so I couldn't exactly drive to my dad's either. And my dad's not especially well off either, so if he came to visit me, it would be shit for both of us. And it's already shit for my mum, who comes down to see me every so often. She used to come and see me like every 2 weeks, and now I barely see her every few months. Just finding it difficult to find what to say. It's just at my adulthood being stolen away from me, essentially. Like, I was already disadvantaged because of my Asperger's. If I have gone to so many job interviews in the past, and I've just messed them up because I'd be stammering so much. I have had good interviews. I had a good interview back in November 2022, and those people, they were so ready to give me a job. They would have loved to have given me that job, but they couldn't because I don't have a bloody car. Because where I needed to go is outside of the region. I needed a car. And I feel like I'm just rambling now. The world is not made for people like me. Because I'm low income, I can only afford to rent. I mean, you look at house prices. Like, even a shitty little bungalow costs hundreds of thousands of pounds. At the very least, a flat can sometimes cost millions. A flat, which is an apartment for Americans and everyone else. Like, they built a tower block here, a fancy tower block, and they were selling the each flat for like £500,000 at least. Like, what? I can't afford that. Everything, the price of everything is going up and up and up. And sure, our wages aren't stagnant like they are in the US. Like the USA, they've been, the minimum wage there has been what, $7.25 since the 70s, I think. And so you get ridiculous things like, oh, when I was your age, I was able to buy a house and a car and support my wife and 2 kids, all on a mailman's wage. Yeah, because those $7.25 were equivalent to $19 today, essentially. But our wages have been going up at least with the inflation. They used to go ahead of the inflation. Now they go with it. And who knows how the wages are going to change in April next year. Could get better, could get worse. Maybe they'll take it away from me, which would not be nice. Everything costs money, and my dad is trying to get me to invest in things. Like he tried to get me to invest in some sort of AI thing. Like what? Like next he'll be wanting me to invest in these stupid meme coins and get rug pulled. He's getting old, that man. More senile. It's just this house I'm in. It's an ideal location for me. It's not very far from where I live. For what? Of course, it's not very far from where I live. It's not very far from the centre of town. Like, I've got a supermarket 5-10 minute walk away. I've got news agents all around. Like, I can just pop into for whatever reason. Like, my job is 35-minute walk away. I can get the bus, cut that down to 20 minutes on a good day. But I'm trying to lose weight as well because I'm a fat bastard. Like, seriously, you look at some of my older videos, you'll see that I didn't have so much cheeks. I didn't have so much flab. I've let myself go. It's just also what this also ended up meaning. I might have to get myself a VPN because of those reasons I can't talk about that I mentioned ages ago now. It is because my landlord, he's going to help me out as much as he can, but because of that, I can't say that. I can't say anymore. It's fucking hell. this, I mean, hopefully in the next 6 months things will get better. At the very least, I will be in a different house, somewhere else, probably paying more rent, and potentially not even without a permanent internet connection. Who knows? That's the way things can go. Meaning, I might even have to get my own internet, pay for it. It's already cutting down my already low income. I'd have to take on more hours at my job. Which, that doesn't exactly excite me. I don't like it in the first place, if I'm being perfectly honest. And the YouTube, that's been a little bit more successful in the recent months, but it's not exactly like I've turned into PewDiePie overnight. I've never managed to find that thing that turns me into the next big thing, and that's probably never gonna happen. And I have, it's been a big regret of mine because I was actually planning on making a video, and maybe I still will, who knows, about why I feel like my channel hasn't really gone anywhere. And I mean, part of that is because I don't stick to one game or one thing. That, like, you look at, take F1 for example, guys like Tiamat Marduk and Arva, they stick entirely to the F1 games or very similar. They barely move from there. And in fact, let's have a look at the latest video from Tiamat Marduk. He's got 28,000 views. He's not as popular as he used to be, I guess. But he's still getting good amount of views on each video. Let's see, what if we go back to when F1 2024 released? His first video on that got 428,000 views. So that video alone would have netted him 200 quid. Which, it's not bad. And then, like, the very next day, he does one that gets 230,000 views. And, of course, they're all going to go down after that. So when F1 25 comes along, I'm sure he'll get more views again. But still. And then, what about Jingles? Mighty Jingles. Like, I originally joined... And actually, no, Jingles got me into World of Tanks, essentially, and his videos are still reasonably successful as well. He's not as big as he used to be. He still hasn't hit 700,000 subscribers. He hit 600,000 bloody ages ago. But he has had some decently successful videos. So he's made himself a pretty penny through this. And these are just YouTubers who are not as successful as, like, PewDiePie. Like, PewDiePie is basically set for life because he was getting millions of views per video. And then, of course, you look at someone like Mr. Beast, who, sure, probably not a great person, but he got the algorithm right. He nailed it. Like, he was getting hundreds of millions of views. If only I could have hit that. If only I could have managed that. But I didn't. And that's the regret. Because even now, I feel like I haven't hit my true potential, and I probably never will. But I'm doing this because I want to. I don't push things like my Patreon. No one's ever joined my Patreon. In the entire time that I've been running my channel memberships, which I don't advertise those either, one person has ever given me a membership for a single month and then they left. And that was after the Singapore F1 video back in late September. They joined in like early October and left in early November. And I've got a members only video right now, and I'm not sure if is anyone, have I got members again, or is it still, yeah, still 0. So if you want to become my member, that's fine. I'm not gonna push you to do it if you don't want to, but it's, yeah. What a fucking day. I've got to sort out all sorts of things. So many things to sort out. And yeah, next few months are gonna be rough. It's just such a shit situation. This is the worst possible news I could have received all year, and it happens 2 weeks before Christmas Day. So happy Christmas to me. It's just gonna make me resent Christmas even more. It's just, and because this is, I know I'm not alone in this. I do have family who are gonna help. My landlord, he's gonna help. They're gonna do everything in their power to help me through this. It's just a situation that shouldn't have ever happened. And at the crux of it, I think it feels like it's Labour. But for all I know, maybe it was the Conservatives who started the ball rolling on this months ago. Who knows? I don't know. My adulthood has been stolen away from me. I legitimately don't know where my future is gonna be. I don't know how my future is gonna go. I I don't I have no idea. And that is what makes it so difficult, because it's the fear of the unknown for me. And when during my 10 or so years of being unemployed, there was no real unknown. It was just the same thing every day, really. Just mucking about on my PC and being depressed about all kinds of things. This isn't gonna make it any better. And I think this is because of how difficult it is to be an adult in this world, a 30-year-old, because I'm 30 now. And I don't recall making a song and dance about it. In fact, I didn't make a song and dance about it. I got all depressed again. It was a horrible day. But living at my age is gonna get a lot more difficult for everyone. Unless, of course, you happen to be the son of a billionaire or something. Because apparently billionaires can do no wrong. Doesn't matter that they are horrible people, that they hoard their wealth. Nah. No. The rest of us pay so that the billionaires can continue to thrive. My face is red. Maybe it's just angry. Angry, frustrated, everything. I reckon we're going to see a lot of my generation not seeing full not seeing through their full lifespans for reasons entirely of their own control. I'm beating around the bush on this because I'm trying to not get this video live stream, whatever, demonetized or whatever. Not that it matters anyway, it's not monetized in the first place. But yeah, a lot of my generation, I believe, are going to end their own existences because things are so bad right now that they're just not. They're gonna decide, right? I've had enough. And I always tell myself that I'm not gonna be one of those because I've always told myself that it's a cowardly way to go, but I find myself doubting it. If there is no end to the suffering, to the pain, if despite everything you do, the entire world is against you, why not? This got dark. Bloody hell. Man, this is the perfect place for it, for how a lot of people are probably feeling right now. Dead inside. I wonder. It's so strange. Because if I was born to someone else, my life could have been a lot better. And that, and, I mean, My dad, as much as I love him, and my mum, as much as I love her, if they weren't my parents, if I had been born to someone else, how might things have been? I don't have to look too far because my dad has a sister, and my my aunt. My aunt is she's married to someone who has been in a pretty decent governmental position in recent years. And even as of this moment, he is still a sitting MP. And that's not military police, that is Member of Parliament. He is runs a constituency here in the UK. I'm not going to say which. I'm not going to say who he is. But he has two sons and a daughter who have practically been pampered their entire lives. They're doing pretty well for themselves. Imagine if I was their third son. And I'm not lying about that, by the way. My uncle is a sitting MP who has been in a pretty high government position. At least I think it's pretty high. Not Prime Minister or anything, but well, he was one of the people that Boris Johnson did chuck out a few years ago. But even so, he's got a comfortable life, whether or not he's earning all his money legitimately or not. If he's skipping his taxes or whatever. Sure, they could skip their taxes. But if I skipped mine, I'd probably go to prison. Yeah. I'm just I'm just rambling now more than anything. I don't expect that this live stream is gonna catch any real traction. Like it had at most 6 viewers across the entire length, and that's the way the cookie crumbles with me. Hardly anyone watches, and that's always irked me, but I've lived with it. Okay, think I'm just stretching this out now. I feel like I'm just rambling and venting and just everything was fine until 10 o'clock this morning. And my entire world has been turned upside down. What the hell do I do? Why couldn't I have been born normal? Sure, there's many elements about me that I wouldn't give up for the world. But if I'd been just a bit more normal, I might have been. My life could have been so much more different. Maybe I'd have friends outside of the internet. Maybe I'd go watch the footy. Maybe I'd socialise and be drinking alcohol. Maybe I'd have a girlfriend. But I don't, because I'm not a very social person. I'm just I I struggle with these social things, and oftentimes I don't like the environments. But that other me in that other universe is living his best life. Maybe he's completely normal, or maybe he struck gold and became a millionaire at 5 years old or something. Of course, I had to be me. I was born in this world, in the world where I have Asperger's, where it's where everything is stacked against me. In this world where they seem to hate my generation for no good reason. They like it's everything's been made so much harder, and the boomers don't care. They're the ones who put us into this mess, and now we're gonna have to try and dig ourselves out. That is, if we survive long enough. Who knows how all these various conflicts are gonna go? Like the one in Eastern Europe right now, that I can't say, but begins with UK. Who knows how that things could go? Maybe things will go hot, and then the last thing any of us will have to worry about is if we're gonna make the rent. Yeah, I did have a fairly decent month or two here this past couple of months. I actually won a competition. I've been, as I'm sure, as I hope some of you would at least know, I've been playing a lot of Zenless Zone Zero. I entered a competition on the official subreddit and I won something. A statue, a figurine or something, potentially of Anby or Nekomata. And that made me happy. And it hasn't arrived yet. Who knows if it's ever gonna arrive? Wouldn't surprise me if it did never arrive. We'll see. But yeah, so many things that made me happy. So many memories in this house, and not all of them good, not all of them bad. And that might come to an end. Probably will. Okay. I've been going on long enough. I'm just reiterating the same points over and over again. That's another thing about having Asperger's. You just go over the same thing over and over again, and sometimes go back to something you finished talking about ages ago. So I'm gonna end it there for the 5 people who appear to be watching at the minute. Thank you for watching and listening to my rambling. It don't I don't imagine it's gonna mean much, but thank you. I do appreciate every view I get, every comment. even if I don't always agree with the comments. If you want to dislike something, like it. If you want to dislike something, dislike it. I won't always understand. I might think I've created solid gold, but maybe it was just polished turd. And don't. This isn't going to be the end of activities on this channel either. Like, I've still got a few months at least to sort things out. I will let everyone know how things are going. So when the day does come, if if the day does come, I'll definitely let people know that if things are going to stay the same or if they're gonna slow down. But for the meantime, content is not going to stop. I'm as yeah. This is a fucking kick up the arse, but I'm not gonna stop, and I'm gonna keep going. So, thank you, truly, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for watching any of my videos. It really does mean a lot to me. And I'm gonna call it off there. So thank you very much. And hopefully you have a better day than I have. Music.